Looks like a pretty important guy. Joining me now on the beat is Grover Norquist. Thanks for being here, sir.
Hey, Ari, good to be with you.
Good to have you. At some point, we can talk about whether you're as powerful and influential as so many people say. Certainly can't hurt in your town to be seen that way. Let's start on policy. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. These are programs that Republicans are going to cut if they come into office. Is that fair to say, and why?
No, this is what happens whenever the Democrats think they're about to lose an election. Jimmy Carter did the same thing when he was losing to Reagan. He said, you're going to gut Social Security. Of course, that didn't happen. The Republicans have made it clear, heck, Trump made it clear when he ran, that he wasn't going to touch Social Security or Medicare. Looking at a lot of the government spending, there's a great deal of spending that could be done better. And the concern that I have for the future is that a lot of people can't save very much for the future. That's why the Republicans have focused on expanding individual retirement accounts and 401ks and health savings accounts and education savings accounts. Today, 58% of Americans have part of their life savings, much of their life savings, in a 401k or an IRA. And when the Democrats talk about taxing companies, they're talking about looting your life savings. And that's why people's life savings have collapsed during the Biden presidency. People are poorer today than they were when Biden was elected in terms, not just their income has not grown as fast as Biden's inflation. They're poorer every day since Biden's inflation kicked in. But on their life savings, the ability to retire, that's where a lot of Americans are most damaged by what Biden and the Democrats have done on their tax policies.
I want to get your views out in the interview, which you're doing, but we also want to have a back and forth. So let's jump in on a couple of points. One, you're talking about private investment versus other government programs that allow people to plan for retirement. That's a policy point. On the empirical or factual point about what's going to happen, it is interesting because you're very politically astute that you're sort of saying, don't worry about it, not going after Social Security. But let me share with you, here's Bloomberg's reporting. The Republican Study Committee, which is the largest group of House Republicans, does now back raising the Medicare age of eligibility to 67, Social Security to 70. Aren't those changes that the majority of House Republicans promise, aren't those fundamentally changes to when people could access those benefits?
You're talking about a group that is a subset of the modern Republican Party.
Largest group,
where staff did something. That's not going to happen. I mean, I work with all these guys. What people want to do is make sure that people can retire safely. What the Democrats have done over the last 60 years with Social Security is damage it. They keep raising the taxes on it. So the amount of money you put in, the return on what you put in, gets worse and worse and worse. Social Security, the Democrats have made a very bad investment deal for younger people, and that was done damage by the Democrats. I wish they'd stop raising taxes.
All right, so look, that's your view. Interesting to hear that you're sort of saying that's not going to happen. Those are some prominent Republicans saying it was. Then you have this class that we keep hearing about.
Nobody wielding any power does.
So, okay, well, look, we love how frank you are. So you're saying the members who run the Republican Study Committee don't have any real power. Okay. On the debt ceiling, we've heard that used as a way to go after your goals. Go ahead. I want to let you respond.
No. Look. That issue is one the Democrats bring up. It's not going to happen, and it's not something that's being discussed by the leadership of the Republican Party in the House or the Senate, and they've made that perfectly clear.
Okay. On the debt ceiling, we're hearing about this coming back as another negotiating tool to cut spending, which is part of your brief, if the Republicans are in charge. Take a listen to example this exchange right here.
Should the debt limit marker be an opportunity for negotiations with the White House on issues like spending?
I think it has to be. It's a major leverage point for the House Republican majority to use to control spending.
There are enormous risks to that.
Spending caps, balanced budgets, cut wasteful discretionary spending. That has to be on the table when it comes to a debt limit vote.
Congressman Banks there is playing that kind of game with the global economy or the U.S. credit. Fair leverage point, is that something that people should be worried about if Republicans take back Congress?
Well, you shouldn't worry about it. Look, this has happened twice before. This is nothing new. When Clinton came in, he taxed and spent. He taxed people he said he wasn't going to tax, the middle class. He did it anyway. He lost the House and he lost the Senate. What happened? The Republicans in the House and the Senate reduced the overspending that he, Clinton, had planned. We ended up balancing the budget because we stopped the spending that he wanted to do. Also cut the capital gains tax and reformed welfare, which the president said he did want to do. Then fast forward to Obama. Obama raised taxes on low-income people, which he said he wouldn't do in the first 2 months. Then he kept spending too much, so he lost the House and most of the Senate. What did Republicans do? They said, we'll raise the debt ceiling, but you need to reduce overspending. And they took about $2 trillion of what Obama wanted to spend out of his spending over the next 2 years. And we didn't reduce as much spending as I would have liked, but it was a reduction from the tremendous amount of spending Biden wanted to do.
But let me just jump in, and again, I want to let you get your points out, but isn't it a contradiction to say that you're about fiscal responsibility, but then if you don't get what you want, you'll tank the global economy? And if you're not willing to tank it, then there's no leverage because you'd back down, right? I mean, we have the number here we'll put on the screen of just the many trillions of dollars that would be borne out will hurt businesses and working people alike. So how is that fiscally responsible, Mr. Norquist, if that's going to be, as you say, a leverage to repeat what you view as extractions that you got in the Obama era?
Well, a Republican House and Senate will pass a budget, as they did under Clinton. And Clinton vetoed it. And did the establishment press say, Clinton has endangered everything, it's going to fall apart? No, they said the Republicans didn't pass the budget we wanted, so we vetoed it, so we don't have a budget. Both parties
I'm going to jump in. I'll let you finish, but I got to jump in. It seems, because I want us to have a colloquy, it seems like you're equating the budget negotiation, which is typical and has occurred for a very long time, with defaulting the U.S. credit, which, as you know, is atypical.
Threatening the closure of government and the debt ceiling has been used by the Democrats and the Republicans. It's part of negotiation. Nothing's ever been closed down. I don't think that Biden will shut down the government, or that he may shut down the government for a while, but I don't think he will have us go into default. The Republicans will pass a real live budget, and he can sign it, he can negotiate it, or he can do what you think he shouldn't do, which is put us into default. I don't think he will.
Okay. We have historic low unemployment. We have high inflation, rising prices. What, in your view, should people who are making up their minds going into the ballot to cast their ballots next week, what should they understand the Republican plan to be? To sort of maintain whatever is keeping the unemployment where it is? And what specifically might they do about inflation, which is hitting everybody?
Well, first of all, we need to rein back in the overspending and the commitments that Biden make to spend a great deal of money. I mean, it's $400 million to buy new cars for the IRS, and the internal guys looking at the IRS said they can't even account for the cars they have and who drives those. I mean, that's $400 million is not nothing, but there's a whole – they want to give $80 billion to the IRS, which lost 30 million documents, destroyed 30 million documents, and didn't tell us anybody. I wouldn't be giving that group $80 billion to do anything until they clean up their mess. You can explain, I think the Republicans will say, if you want more money for the IRS or for other agencies, demonstrate that it's actually, that you're doing something. Be transparent. Tell us who made the decision to destroy 30 million documents.
I think,
how did you do it?
I just have to say, you're raising some issues. I'm not sure that you're outlining an inflation plan, but you're raising other issues.
Spend less. Spend less. Reduce the spending out into the future. What's the difference between New York and Florida? New York spends $200 billion a year, and Florida spends $100 billion a year, and they're roughly the same size. Florida's actually a little bit bigger. Florida
also,
spends half as much and does a better job.
Also, fewer alligators. That's another difference in New York.
In Florida? Well, don't they have to spend money to go after alligators down in Florida? But in all seriousness, they spend half as much in per capita, half as much total in Florida. Hire fewer bureaucrats. Watch out on their pensions.
Yeah. Well, we noted that you are one of the drivers of this very influential wing of economic policy in your party. I wanted voters to hear from you directly because people are making up their minds. I appreciate you coming on the B. I hope you come back.
Absolutely. Enjoy the opportunity. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber. Thanks for watching The Beat. I wanted to let you know I'm writing a foreword to the January 6th committee's full report, which is coming out soon from HarperCollins. You can go pre-order the book right now, and it'll come to you first when the report comes out in the fall or whenever the government releases it. Just search Melber Jan 6th on Amazon or your favorite independent book site and click pre-order. You'll be the first to get both the report and my new piece on the coup conspiracy. You can also go to melberbook.com and order it there.